Here we are on beautiful Jones Street.
You saw Ted Jones.
Sponsored by Stockwell Dreamery, the most delicious vegan cheese on the market. We got original smoked paprika and chili, garlic and herbs, and I'll tell you what, guys, this is the best vegan cheese you'll have. Don't forget the cheddar melt. Enjoy the episode. Ted Jones World Podcast. This is freaking episode 447, I believe. And this week, tonight, actually, I'm doing a private event with Snapchat. I'm looking forward to talking to you guys about this further on Monday when I can actually talk about more detail. I mean, okay, yeah, I was like, can I even say that? Yeah, all good. I'll talk about it more on Monday after we have this event tonight, but I'm looking forward to it. I almost forgot. Today is my half birthday. Today is May 13th. As we're recording this, snaps for Ted Jones. I am officially 32 and a half. I've been using, I'm 32 and a half material on stage for like 3 to 5 months, but now I'm officially 32 and a half. How do I feel? I feel great. You know what's interesting though? Can you imagine if people gave you as little props and pride for turning half that they do as like on your birthday? I mean, obviously it makes sense that people are like, oh, it's your birthday today rather than like it's your half birthday. But anyway, okay, I got these new sweatpants. I don't even know. These feel like golf pants. You know, they're like not fully sweat. They're like, if you put water on it, it feels like it would fly off. But I remember there was a period of my life where all I was doing was shopping. I was like looking for designer clothes and this and that. Like, oh, this brand is cool. But like, I'm just over it now. You know, as long as there's like, this is one of my other favorite shirts that doesn't say Ted Jones World on it, Anna Kournikova. Do you guys know who this is? Even no, you guys probably don't. Pretty niche if you don't follow tennis. But anyway, an exciting night tonight. Looking forward to it. And it looks as if we do have a location for the 5th annual Ted Jones World Vegan Hot Dog Eating Contest. I'm not going to spoil and spill the beans because it is in the works and we are about to confirm. But, you know, you don't want to ever say something's going to happen fully until like it's 100% confirmed. And I've learned that in the past, speaking too soon before things, but I'm not going to confirm it yet. But if you do want to compete, we're going to have 8 to 10 contestants for the 5th annual Ted Jones World Vegan Hot Dog Eating Contest. It will be in New York City, July 4th, 100%. And we're just confirming if it's going to be 2 p.m., 3 p.m., 4 p.m. But it will be in a competing time slot as the, I'm saying quote right here, regular hot dog eating contest. Because you know what? It's not regular. You guys may ask, Ted, what's in a vegan hot dog? I'd say one, maybe soy protein, other type of protein, but you're never asking what's in a hot dog that comes from a pig. You know what's in a hot dog? I'm not even going to tell you. All right, I'll tell you. It's just the grossest part of a pig, man. And is there even not a gross part of an animal to eat? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but we'll see. Hopefully it competes well. We'll see if we can get Joey Chestnut one year. That guy, you guys remember that guy, Kobayashi? Yeah, he was like a rival of Joey Chestnut, but now Joey Chestnut just took over, man. He took over the race. I wonder what it's like. Like, how do you get into eating contests? I imagine your whole life you just like eat a lot and you don't gain as much weight, or your stomach just has you have a like very strong, stubborn stomach. Like you can eat all these different types of food in one day and you still feel fine, ready to eat another amount of food the next day. Like eat 10,000 calories one day, feel fine, and then just get back to the drawing board and have another 10,000 calories. That's probably like how you figure out how you're so good at it. But beyond that, like in college, I was eating so much. I remember like there were some days where I would get Domino's, and then after I got Domino's, I would get like DP dough. I don't know if you guys you guys have probably never heard of DP dough. It's just like a flat bread. So I'd just be having bread, and then later that night I'd have wings. But there was a particular time in college, I remember this, on the tennis team, we would have Subway sandwiches for lunch during the day. Like that was the cheapest way to feed the whole team. It was like $5 footlongs. They'd feed 12 to 15 of us. You know, it was probably like, I don't know, like $150 to feed all of us with a drink, chips, and sandwich. But there was one particular day in college where I had 3.5 feet of Subway. Isn't that insane? I had a 3.5 foot long Subway sandwich. At like 11 a.m., I had a turkey and cheese. Probably 1 or 1:30, I had another chicken parmesan. And then at night, I had like some sort of beef on the sandwich. That's gnarly, like a steak and cheese. But I do feel like people don't eat Subway as much as they did. Like when I was in college, like 10-ish years ago, people just used to eat Subway all the time. And Subway, like before I was vegan, Subway's great. For those of you who don't know I'm vegan and I'm having a 5th annual vegan hot dog eating contest, figure it out. No, just kidding. Maybe this is your first time listening to the podcast, which I appreciate. And if you're watching on video, you notice for 3 minutes for no reason, I just had sunglasses on, which was odd. And if you are watching on Spotify or YouTube here, you'll notice that we're trying a different view. We're trying a different angle. So you can see behind right here, this is the kitchen. This is the kitchenette. You're in the studio. You're in the apartment. You're in the 1 bedroom. And yeah, we got signs up here. You know, we got notes to ourselves. And I think for the most part, it helps with positivity. You know, I have nice positive notes to myself all around the place, just reminding yourself, hey, you're doing all right. You're doing all right, buddy. Keep doing what you're doing. But just, I guess, on another note, this May, granted, it's like the halfway point. As you guys are listening to this, it's Thursday. It's like the half point. Or I don't know what day you're listening to this. Actually, I shouldn't judge you. I'm sorry. It's the halfway point through May, and I'm already at like 20 or 25 shows for the month. So this is looking to be, in terms of stand-up, my the most amount of shows I've done in a month. We'll see. I might get to 50 shows this month, which would be exciting, which would be crazy. I never really thought, like, even starting this TEDJONESWORLD journey, which, oh my gosh, which May 15th also is that's like when I stopped working in my dad's office. That's when I put in that was like the last day that I stopped working there. Wow. And Dad, if you're listening to this, maybe Grandma's listening to this, you know, it was an amazing experience, amazing life experience. 6 years I worked there, worked at a real estate company. And, but when I stopped, I don't think I even really processed the thought of maybe at 1 month I would do like 50 comedy shows in 1 month. That's a lot. Being in New York, there are people who do a lot more, but they say comparison is the thief of joy. I'm not comparing myself in like a negative way, but I'm just saying there are comedians who live in New York City who are doing easily 100 shows a month. I shouldn't say easily, but there are comedians who do 100 shows a month, averaging like 3 or 4 shows a night. And I think you really get to 100 shows a month is by doing multiple clubs on multiple nights. Like granted, maybe on like a Friday and Saturday, you'll have 2 shows at 2 different clubs, and that's 4 already. And then 4 plus 4 on 2 nights is 8, which is a lot, obviously. But I think you get to that point of just having more shows just by being around, poking your face in. And New York City is really the only place where you're able to do more than 2 or 3 shows in a night. Like last weekend, I had 2 shows at the same club, and then I went to Astoria, did a show, and then I did an independent show. So I ended up doing 4 shows on that night. Or maybe, yeah, the most amount of shows so far I've done in a night is 4, and that came on like a Friday or Saturday. But being in any other environment other than New York City, maybe there's some place like in London where you could do 4 or 5 shows a night, but like you can't be in LA and do that. There's just too much driving. Can't be in Chicago, Miami. That doesn't really exist. But being in New York as a stand-up comedian, I think it's the best place to be. Austin, Texas scene is obviously improving and becoming a hotspot for where a lot of people will go to start doing stand-up comedy. But maybe I'm biased in saying that New York is the place to be. But if you ask anyone, it's been the place to be for like the past 30 years. You know, I think it's where you could get the most reps in and where there's the most talent. You know, there's a lot of comedians here. And you guys know I've had 447 episodes of this podcast. I've had I don't have count, but between like 200 and 250 comedians have been on this podcast. And there's still probably, you know, as the years go on, there's going to be more people entering the scene, more people drop out. But I haven't seen as many people drop out as maybe I thought I would have previously. I definitely have seen a few people, like even a few people who've done this podcast haven't done comedy that I know of in like the past 6 months to a year. It's really a month-to-month thing where some months you're booked more than others. Some months you have exciting things going on. Other months you're like, yo, why am I even doing this? And I think that lasts like stretches of weeks, sometimes even months. I've heard like veteran comics talk about that too. about how some weeks you're just like, dude, what is going on here? And I've had weeks like that in the past, whether it's through my personal life, also through comedy, but like there's so many ups and downs, bruh. We're entering the season also where people, I'd say for like the next, what is it? Probably like the next month, people talk about how they wear a jacket in the morning, and then by the time afternoon comes around, they need to put their jacket around their waist. You know, that's what's happening in all the elevators now. People are just talking about the weather. I wonder what the most talked about subject is between two people who like just met each other, or like people who are doing small talk. It must be the weather. You know, I went to a coffee shop the other day and I forgot my phone at my apartment here, which is like, oh my God, you left your phone? How could you do that? But I was just watching people walk by and I was like, I wonder what the most protruding thought is between the 500 people or 1,000 people that I saw walk by this particular coffee shop. And then I was like, you know what? I bet the most protruding thought is that they're like, I need to go to the bathroom. Now, there should be an app, and you guys feel free at home to steal this app idea because I don't think I'm going to make it, but I do think it's a good app. There should be like an app, it should be called Drop Spot, and you see all the places next to you that will allow you to use their restroom. Instead of going into 20 different restaurants or delis or just stores in general, like a madman or madwoman, like a chicken with your head cut off, you can see which places near you will allow you to use the restroom. And you can pick, like, I need to go number 1. I need to go number 2. Oh, you need to go number 1? That'll be $1. Oh, you need to go number 2? That is going to be $3.50 or something like that. But that's a genius idea. You go on Shark Tank and you're like, Shark Tank introducing Drop Spot, the world's number 1 place to go number 2 or number 1. Wow, that's a brilliant idea. And then, you know, you cue the music. It's like dun, 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 to be fresh. Yeah. I think that's a good idea because it's too difficult to find a place being in New York City. I don't know what it is. Maybe where you live, it's easier. But if you're away from your apartment, a lot of people don't like to use other restrooms. Or maybe that's just me. Like, I'm not going, you know, numero dos in just a random deli. Okay, I'll tell you that. Usually, you know, I handle my business in the moment. Because I feel like if you're doing it at any other time during the day, it's like, bruh, figure it out. You got. But then again, you know what? I'll understand if you guys are working corporate jobs. You know, you had that, like, you had a cigarette, you had a coffee, you had a bacon, egg, and cheese. It's going out the other end. You know what I'm saying? And also, if you work in corporate and you smoke cigarettes, that's an advantage you have. You think about that. Think about how you spend 5 to 10 minutes a day in the bathroom, maybe. I mean, not even that long, but 5 to 10 minutes a day in the bathroom from your 9 p.m. to 5 p.m. shift. And then on top of that, you smoke 2 cigarettes. That's like an extra 20-minute bonus that you get out of the office. And no employer really said, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, no employer is like, you're not allowed to take smoke breaks. You know, it's just part of the culture. A lot less people are smoking cigarettes, but people, if they're smoking vapes, your vape break is definitely a lot less than your smoke break, you know? Because you have to, if you're smoking a cigarette, you better be smoking that whole thing, right? You're not just letting that cigarette go to waste. You're smoking it down to that filter, bro. Unless you're smoking Marlboro Reds unfilters, which I don't know. That'd be Sauvage. That sounds more of like a European thing, but a lot of people do smoke vapes. And it's crazy how fast a transition, you know, like Juul got banned for the most part. And now people are just buying any flavor vape. The FDA or whoever controls Juul and whoever said that Juul can't put out mango pods, and now people buy Miami Mint, blueberry, raspberry, blue raspberry, and like you don't even think really about these names. You just think like, oh, it's a cool sounding name, so I'm gonna buy it. Like Miami Mint, what? Blue raspberry isn't even there's no such thing as a blue raspberry, and people are sucking it down in their lungs. That's crazy to me. Nobody even realizes blue raspberry isn't even there's no such thing as a blue raspberry. Raspberries are red and blueberries are blue. It's like, wow, trying to confuse me there. But the vape culture has gotten insane because the amount of people that have started to vape and would never even smoke cigarettes, it's out of control. It's crazy. And I wonder what the average amount of puffs is somebody takes a day. You see people vaping in places that they shouldn't be vaping, even though it says like no vaping on the walls. Like, how are you going to enforce that? You know, you take a hit of the vape and then you just, blow it down your shirt, that's probably the best way to do it. And I imagine the high school bathrooms still have a vaping issue. Like you walk into one of those things and it just smells like watermelon. That was French for those of you who didn't pick up what I was putting down. You know what I mean? That was a new joke right there. But also, like, going on stage now, people ask me like how often I'm switching up new material. I'd say for at least myself, like, let's say I'm doing if I'm doing a 10-minute set, I'd say of the set, maybe 20 minutes is crowd work, 30% is kind of repetitive, and then like 50% will usually be new from set to set, which I think is a good touch. But there is something to be said about, like, if you're, as a comedian, trying to build like 30 minutes or 45-minute set, there are things that you want to work on consistently because you are finding maybe new pockets of a joke or maybe new pauses in a particular spot that you wouldn't otherwise do. But there also is something to be said for mixing it up each time. You know, you're more comfortable with being on the fly or noticing something and then you relays back into a joke. But there's no real proper way to do stand-up comedy. Maybe some of the veterans would say that I'm wrong, but I think in saying that, there's not really a way for somebody to coach you. People can tell you the basics of it, like, yes, wait for an applause break, pause at a certain spot, hit this punchline here. But there's so many different styles. You know, like, people are just different in every way. People will joke about their family more. People will talk about doing drugs more. People will talk about being fat. People will talk about sports. People can talk about, you can make anything funny. As long as you make it relatable, I think that's what probably makes you a good stand-up comedian. You know? But those are just my 2 cents. You know what I mean? I'm focused a lot on sketches, not so much vlogging at the moment. If you look back on this channel, the Ted Jones World podcast channel, if you're watching on YouTube, we put out hundreds of vlogs previously. And I think when I was putting out those vlogs, I don't know if I want to say this like that, but I thought that more people would catch on because I thought that the material behind the vlog was good, even though there wasn't necessarily like a core theme behind these vlogs. But I think that ultimately people don't really care. People don't give a shit about somebody that they're not invested in. Like, you have to get people invested in you first, and then they'll care about like the random stuff that you're doing. You know, the same thing goes with like these social media apps. If you look at the people who already have huge accounts, they could post something and they'll get a lot of engagement just because they already have fans behind what they're already doing. You know, but this is just stuff that I've thought about, I guess, over the past 3 years. You know, nobody really cares what you're doing. And I've said this in the past, and my grandmother, when she would listen to the podcast. By the way, yes, I do have a grandma and a grandmother. I'm very blessed to have both, obviously. But my grandmother was saying, Teddy, I heard you talk about saying that people don't care when you complain. And that's true. That's true, man. You know? Because everybody's got their own issues. Which is interesting, because people think that their issues are so much bigger than they are in the scope of the world. But like, everybody has like the same issue. Everybody has maybe an ex-boyfriend or an ex-girlfriend or somebody that they have a crush on, and maybe they don't have feelings back towards them. But everybody goes through like the same phase. You know, maybe somebody would get in their feelings a little bit more about something that's relationship related. But then also on the other end, a person might get more upset about something that's work related. When both of those things just takes time to get over. And I would stress to everybody listening, everybody watching, that you can't really give so much of a crap about things that are going to be interchangeable. Like, I remember working at my dad's company before. There were so many times where like I was so upset about things that weren't in my control. And like, while obviously I loved working there, it was great. It was just like, it was a waste of mental space to care about something that was out of my hands. There's only so many things you can control as a human, but a lot of it, and I didn't even make this up, a lot of it is just how you think about it, how you put it together in your mind, you know? I guess in the past, I don't know why I laughed at that. That was like an awkward laugh. But in the past, like I'd say probably like 3 to 4 months, I've been spending less time in the gym, but I do feel just as fit, maybe even more fit. And the way that I've been implementing my workouts, like there was a period of time, you guys know, where I was working out, no joke, like 13 days in a row, over an hour each day. And it was time consuming. My body wasn't recovering, and maybe it was solid for my mental, but like I feel mentally strong now too. I feel just as mentally strong. I don't want to say like it's a cop out now because I'm spending less time in the gym, but the amount of effort that I put into the gym and how sore I am for like the next 3 to 4 days, I don't know, it feels great. And physically, like I feel like I look great. You know what I mean? But I think that there's just a lot of things to learn. And me turning 32 and a half today, it's you learn something new every month. Like the past month has been, a lot of things have changed for me. I've become closer with some people that I've worked in comedy. And I think that there has been a shift in once I stopped working in real estate to now being fully immersed in comedy. Like the people that I see every night, it's different. And the things that I'm doing on Friday and Saturday night are completely different. Like 3 or 4 years ago on Friday, Saturday night, that was my time to let loose. I wasn't focused on, writing jokes and making sure punchlines hit. But like now every Friday, Saturday, I'm doing shows. I'm doing at least 2 shows on Friday and Saturday night. 2 shows Friday, 2 shows Saturday. And like I have my backpack with me. Now, like I don't know what you guys think about if people can really go out at night and bring a backpack, but like you can't really do that. I'm looking at my face right here in the mirror. I cut myself shaving. It's very difficult to be a man and not cut yourself shaving. Maybe you guys are like, what do you mean, Ted? You just don't know how to shave. Well, you guys probably don't go razor to the face. And if I go razor to the face and I wait like 4 or 5 days, that's when it becomes difficult because I'm just like hammering my face with the razor. And it's a lot easier to go electric razor to the face. But I'm just saying. Anyway, okay, I was talking about backpacks and like going out. You can't really bring a backpack out with you. Maybe there is space for like a backpack in the back room or they have like a coat check, but like, I don't know. It's just a weird look. And I'm definitely giving girls the ick if I bring out a backpack. That's the beautiful thing about having a car in other cities, in suburban cities. You could just leave your backpack in the car. But being in New York and then after doing comedy, like I have a few things in my backpack that I'm just carrying around. I'm like, do I want to go out right now? It depends. Who knows? Maybe the backpack is the move. No, I don't think the backpack is the move. But I do carry around, where's my little joke book? I'll show you guys. This is what I carry around now for the most part. Anytime I really leave the house, I've got this handy dandy joke book on me. This thing, and this fits in like my back pocket. I could just put it back there. So I do find myself carrying around this and a pen. And if I do have my backpack, I'll carry around like one this size. I find that writing down jokes via my hand and then, or sometimes, okay, it'll go from my people, because people ask me, it'll go from, how do you think about jokes? How do you write jokes? It'll go from my phone to one of these pads to on stage, I'll try it. But sometimes it'll go from the pad to on stage, I'll try it. Sometimes it'll just go from my phone to on stage and I'll try it. But I think there are a lot of different methods on how I personally think about how to write new material. It's different for everybody. Some people just do it on their phone. I know that some people like to write it out on a computer, but we're in a new age. We're in a new age of comedy. We're in a new age of entertainment. And my sister got engaged. Congrats to Katie if you're listening. And oh my gosh, my sister got engaged. If you're listening, sister, congrats. And her fiance actually made a good point about how like 20 years ago, there was such a monoculture where everybody kind of talked about the same thing. Like a show was on Sunday night, so Monday morning, everybody was talking about that show. That doesn't really happen anymore. Like if you're scrolling on TikTok or Instagram, there could be a video with 5 million views or maybe 5 million likes and nobody that you're talking to has seen it. Like you have to share it with other people, which is interesting because this is new. So I'd be interested to see how this pans out over the next 5 years, next 10 years. But not everyone has the Netflix. Not everyone has the Hulu, Amazon Prime. So in order for everybody to see one thing, it needs to be done by a person who is part of the monoculture. A person like a Drake or Kendrick Lamar. Everybody is talking about this beef because they're part of the monoculture. There aren't videos or shows that are really part of it now. There's so many different networks and so many different forms of entertainment that it's tough to keep track of all of them. But if you guys are a fan or you've been following along long enough, maybe Ted Jones will be part of the monoculture. Ted Jones World Podcast. Guys, thanks so much for tuning in and listening to me. Let me know if you like this specific backdrop or you like the other backdrop, which is a little bit blander, or you like the couch over here. We're just trying new things here to see what works, what doesn't work. But come to Margarita Monday, every single Monday, free comedy show at the Comedy Shop, 167 Bleecker Street. And again, if you would like to compete in the 5th annual Ted Jones World Vegan Hot Dog Eating Contest, details are coming very soon. We have a lot of exciting things in place. I'm excited. I know you guys are probably excited as well. But again, if you would like to compete, send us an email, TedJonesWorld@gmail.com. Send me a DM at Ted Jones World on Instagram and follow along Ted Jones World 1 on TikTok. Everywhere you can find me, it's always Ted Jones World. But guys, thanks so much for tuning in. I'm 32 and a half years old, and I look forward to being 33 and a half a year from now. Wow. Thanks again, guys. We'll see you soon. Peace.